And
Now,
don't feel, just go.
so the first thing I do though, let me go and I check because my stuff, I be getting glitched. Let me
You're
make sure
live.
everything. Yeah, I want to see. Can you all hear me out there? Y'all let me know if you all can hear me. I just need a yes. I can go and check too. Um, and we gonna hit it. Okay, I hear live on this. Oh no, there it is. That's it. Okay, so assalamu alaikum. We begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ba'd. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to tonight's stream. We have a very excellent conversation, I believe, with the very important guest, our dear beloved brother. Now, he and I've been aware of him for a long time, and I had mentioned this to you, Imam. You came, man. This had to be early when I got to Atlanta. You came at least once or twice.
Yes.
And I was out of town. I know the most time recently, this is after I had resigned. So I was like in another city just doing something else, but you had come out. However, I know we know people, we know like the same people. You know, all black people are related. Like, yeah, that's my cousin. So we know some of the same people. I'm aware of the work that you all do on the Black Imams Roundtable. I'm aware of the Masjid Muhammad in Atlantic City. And this most recent, this is not most recent, this is the 7th annual, if I'm not mistaken, conference that you are hosting, the 7th African American Islamic Summit from Faith to Power. You are the and correct me if I'm wrong, but you are the founder of that. This is your brainchild, so to speak.
Yeah, it was my original idea,
Okay.
and but you never do nothing by yourself. So the
Yeah.
whole team is one.
Yes, sir. So
Yes, it was
let us.
my brainchild that I thought that we could do to contribute to our collective growth.
So our brother, our beloved brother, Imam Amin Muhammad has joined us this evening. So I did all of that, but just to welcome you on the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So there's a lot we're going to cover. As a matter of fact, we got on a little late. We were doing a little preliminary discussion, and it was already. I had to kind of hold myself back from because the Imam was saying something, and I had something to say. I said, "No, we can't rob the people of this. Let's bring it to the open space." So the first thing I want to do is really just get your thoughts. I want you to share with us the thought process behind the summit in general, and then specifically about this year's theme, from faith to power. What should we know?
So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. For me, I grew up in Islamic movement. So as a kid, when I was 10 years old, when I uttered Shahada, I came up under the community of the Ansar Allah community. I don't know if you're familiar with them in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, I heard of it.
Also, my local community, the community of Imam Muhammad. So I was always around African American Muslims. That the concept was for us, building us. And I've noticed that, and that's going in the 80s. So I'm like 1980, early 80s. And I noticed later that as we develop in our learning and we acquired more knowledge, we lost our identity with it. And by being on what we call the circuit, the lecture circuit, I realized it was an absence of our people. All of the big names had become other than African Americans. And so I said to myself, what about us? It's nice to have a general concern, but we have specific concerns. So I consulted with many of the leaders and imams and stakeholders in our community. I said, how about we start having gatherings that focus on our concerns, both as Muslims and as African Americans, but from the Muslim perspective. And that was the spirit by which we started the summits.
Mm. So if you could sort of lay out a list of priority, what would you say are the main 3 to 5 issues that are specific to us as African American Muslims?
Of course, first, which is because we're Muslim, it is our faith and our learning of the religion. It is essential, as Imam al-Bukhari mentioned in his Sahih, he said, Bab al-ilmu qabla al-qawli wal-amal. This is a section in the book of knowledge. Knowledge must precede every statement and action, right? And that part of the religion is learning. Because once we have knowledge and faith, that gives us a sense of honor and dignity and self-esteem. I think when we are missing that knowledge element, we lose our dignity, right? And we
Yeah.
lose our self-esteem and our self-worth as a people.
Yeah.
So the knowledge thing, I think, is probably number one priority, then followed by our sense of responsibility and accountability to our community, to our people.
Mm.
And I say our people because I think sometimes when we learn improperly, we forget that we are people. It's like
Mm.
everyone else can be a people, but us, we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
Muslim. Right?
yeah,
That don't work.
yeah,
As
yeah.
a people, we got to be a people. So I think having responsibility as a people and being accountable for that, that means we got to engage. And then, as a third thing, if I'll just leave it at 3,
Okay.
we have to take care of our economics and business,
Mm.
entrepreneurship, and career development. Because if you don't have a financial engine supporting you as a people, you're not going anywhere. So I think
Mhm.
if I would say 3 focal points that we as a community of Muslims need to focus on, I would say these are at the top of the priority, and everything else will come under it. Because if you're accountable and responsible, then you're going to have to take care of your family and your people.
Yeah,
But if you're not
yeah.
responsible, you're not going to take care of family. You're going to take
So
care
when
of. Mhm.
no, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead. That was so. I'm just
So
saying as general things, and things would fall under them.
so when you say, because you said belief and knowledge, so are you speaking specifically about like proper Islamic belief, like creed? We have to have our
No, I'm not. Creed is a part of it, but I'm talking about actually conviction. So I don't mean
mm,
like al-aqidah. I mean when we say al-īmān, at-tasdeeq al-jazm, that absolute unshakable conviction that al-Islamu haqq wa ma siwahu batil, that Islam
mm,
is the truth and everything else is false.
right,
Right?
right, right.
That spirit, like the Quran told us about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Allah said, "Huwa alladhi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa din al haq liyudhhirahu ala din kulli." That
Yeah.
Allah sent His messenger with guidance and the religion of truth, al-Islam, so that would prevail over every other way of life. That's a sort of dignity, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And to
Yeah.
have that kind of faith that it's unshakable, right? That's the only kind of thing you're going to move. Think about in the Quran, Allah mentioned, إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا
Right.
وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله
Right.
أولئك هم الصادقون. So Allah makes a definition of the believer, that one who
Mhm.
has that faith, الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا. They believe, they're convinced. التصديق الجازم, absolute conviction in a belief in Allah and His Messenger, and thereafter they never doubt.
Right.
Then what they do after that, وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Now the work. If you're going to work with your money and yourselves in the path of Allah. Once you
Right.
do both of those, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. These are the true, sincere servants. So that's why I mentioned, I don't mean Aqidah. You learn Aqidah, you live Īmān.
Right. Right. I love that, man. I may have to take that, just put that in my neck. I got to do a khutbah, I think tomorrow. That I like the way you set that up, and it brings me really to the theme. I'm hearing uh, faith to power.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. So what do you? I mean, you really gave a lot there, but with this theme, from faith to power. Why that theme now? What do you have in mind, if more further with that theme for this particular gathering?
If when I think from faith, we talked about that, right? So
Mm.
first having that conviction, and not just in Islam. You notice the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and from the Seerah, people would come, groups, they would come into Al Medina to talk with the Prophet and see his message.
Yeah,
And he would teach them, and then he would tell them, go back and teach your people.
right.
That's very significant. Go
Mm.
back and teach your people. So once we have that faith, there's a job that needs to be done. That is establishing your people in faith. And Islam is just not knowledge or creed, it's practice, it's dealing, it's government, it's establishment, right? Think about, and I just always go back to when I was a youngster. When in America, whenever we saw Islam, especially in the 70s, in the 80s, when I came around,
Yeah,
when you thought Muslim, you saw an African American.
yeah,
That was the
yeah.
standard, right? There were others in the country. Now you see Muslim, unfortunately, like we don't exist.
Mm.
So I think that means our power has been taken. If you look at remember the Spike Lee joint, Malcolm X, and
Yeah,
when Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, as Malcolm X, he went in front of that police station,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
captain came, he said, no man deserves that much power. Right?
Right, right. That's right. That's right.
That was us. No
Yeah,
matter what group we was in, it was a standard that the Black Muslim represented power and
yeah.
establishment. So from faith to power is we lost that. How do we use our faith and regain that?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah,
Because I mean, you're aware, and I've hearing you online, putting yourself out there, uh, that our Islam is no longer ours. It's
yeah.
what someone else give us,
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
we
gonna
have
ask you about.
that, right? So that's you're not power if someone else is dictating your whole mission. Like you don't see the world with your eyes anymore. We see the world with the eyes of others. And that's not good. That's healthy for no people, let alone the people who've been through all we've been through. We need to see the world through Islam with our own eyes.
So that's what I was really gonna ask you. I mean, because that's a lot. I mean, so from our view, uh like this is how I see it. I'm saying our, but I'm speaking as someone who grew up in Imam Muhammad's community, parents in the nation. And you can see, and this is still like a gripe. It's not popular to talk about, but you kind of hear this sort of among the elders, like we had this, we had that, and they don't say this, but they say it. And I'm saying, I hope they don't look at me sideways next time they see me. But it's like, had it not been for these changes, we would still have it. Meaning, the FOI got disbanded, we made the transition, this, that, and the other. And from my view now, and I remember the Imam sharing with us, he just said, look, I did what I had to do. And there was just a lot of different things that were going on at that time that, a lot of corruption, there was a lot of good, but there was a lot of corruption. There was a lot of gangsterism, depending upon what part of the nation you were in. I'm talking about the nation, the United States,
Right.
what part of the country you were in. But there was this hope and there was this projection that one day we would regain what we had, but upon the proper foundation. So though we had a structure, to use this analogy, we had a structure, but it was built upon the wrong foundation. So now in Al-Islam proper, as you articulated it, correct faith, etc., not doubting, conviction, now we can build again upon the proper foundation. What do you think, though? Because I'm just using 1975. We have other groups that were in existence, but I'm just going to use that date for that main movement.
Right.
What do you think? What has really been, in your opinion, the greatest hindrances in the way of us building and realizing that power that you pointed to, like in the scene from the movie?
In our discovery that we had errors, and we've all been through it. That's our African American path. We
Yeah,
went through stages. If
yeah,
we sit
yeah,
down and talk about all the groups, and I say this now, it's one of the difficult conversations to have. because, like you said, you don't want to offend our elders, right? Who laid
Yeah.
the foundation for everything we're talking about. So without them, there'll be no us, right? But here's the reality. When we lose ourselves, we're going to naturally lose everything they built. They built what they built because they were trying to find themselves. Unfortunately, all of the access was not given to them. Wasn't that they were intelligent. Wasn't that they were bad. You only can work with what's in your hands. That's it, right? You can't do any more. So what was available to them, that's what they had to work with. When new information or new access is available, you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You take that new information and you build upon it, right? So if anything, we shouldn't have lost our power if we would have still realized that we are important in the equation, right? And realize that we only working to what we have, you know? So if you don't have all access, then you can't do any more, right? If I'm having a discussion with an individual and I talk about my background of access, I don't expect that many of the things that I can talk about, that person would be able to talk about. Not because they're not smart, they just didn't have access. And if they had access, they probably do better than me.
Right.
And if we had access to the same thing others denied us access, which I think was deliberate, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think we would have do much better because we did great with nothing.
But really quick, Imam, what do you mean? What do you mean, to the degree you're comfortable, that we would deny access? What do you have in mind when you say that?
You know, they say when you get older, you don't apologize for truth, right?
Yeah.
You know, they say I'm too old to lie, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Listen,
Right.
I know what is available in the Islamic world. I know what came to America as far as access.
Yeah.
Having spent time traveling all over the Islamic world in my own life, right?
Yeah.
That never was given to us. So if you take these smart men, they took pimps, prostitutes, drug dealers, stick-up boys, and turned them to upright, positive men. Do you think if they would have had all of the access, all of the Islamic sciences, all of the tools, that they wouldn't have built something the world has never seen?
I see.
Look what they did without that.
Right.
So you don't, and if you study history, the founding of where we got a lot of this information that changed us came from direct allies of the ones who we were opposing to get where we got.
That's what I be trying. That's right.
That's a fact. I mean, I don't think anyone who knows history don't lie.
That's right.
Right? And the present will tell you the history, right? That they have brought us an Islam that didn't serve us well. And maybe I shouldn't say, that's why you said be careful. So let me.
No, I said to the degree you're comfortable.
Right. I'm comfortable. I just want to make you comfortable.
Hey, brother, I'm cool as a fan.
No, here's what I'm saying. We're going to, you know, the same people that talk about the nation or talk about the Ansars or talk about Imam Muhammad's community, or the same people have all that noise.
Yeah.
When we learn, we're going to talk about them the same way they talk about us when we learn. And it's not because of them. It's because how people have been spoon feeding us Islam.
Right. Right.
You understand my point? So it ain't us. It's what people are deliberately undermining us. I'll tell you a story of an elder. He was with a community who will remain, you know, anonymous for this purpose. He was with them for about 30 years. And he came to study with us. And he saw the stuff we were studying. He went back to his teachers. They were immigrants. And he said, yo, he's over here teaching all this stuff. He said, oh yeah, we didn't teach you that yet. And the stuff that he didn't teach him was basic knowledge everyone should know. It wasn't something special. I'm talking
Right.
about basic knowledge that everyone should know.
Right.
So if we learn, and I remember on one of your podcasts, you
Yeah.
said something. I don't know if it flew over people's head. You said about an individual was criticizing you. He said he wasn't that academic.
Right.
Like
He
if
wasn't.
you check his sources, he didn't even research well. Well,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily his fault. He probably had ability to research, but if you are used to just parroting and quoting, you feel that that is research,
Yeah. 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 No, you hit it on the head. Yeah,
and
you hit
that
it on the
happens
head.
to us across the board. So,
Okay.
and that's why we got to have mercy for our elders because we're not that far behind our elders in terms of being denied access. We have more access, but there's a lot more to go, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And well, let me move that a bit forward, right? Because, or not move it forward, but look at it from a certain angle. Because, so I did. I mean, I think everybody who watching know what we talking about, like them Salafi Wahhabi videos I was doing. You know what I mean? And I think we know positions you have taken. And I tried to, like, I made one about Wahhabi infiltration. And I actually said it in that video. And then the second one was like, "Are Salafis the problem?" Question mark. I'm questioning the thesis that they're the problem, if you consider it in this broad context. Meaning, like, if I raise my son to just be a killer, then is my son really the problem?
Right.
This is what daddy taught me. So,
Nice.
but it didn't land. Some people it did land well, but I'm saying, it some interpreted as me. As a matter of fact, Abu Muslim, I led the video by like giving him praise. Like, I've met beautiful Salafi brothers, and I'm saying it as like a disclaimer. This is not a us versus them. So that I think that has to be known. Like, that has not just, it doesn't have to be known, but that just has to be made clear. But there seems to be an interest to, how could I put this? And I guess I'm wanting your thoughts on this. How do we deal with these issues where it's not personal? It's like we're dealing with the facts. We're dealing with what the issue is.
Right.
You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? And so maybe it's not doable. Maybe it is what it is.
I believe it is if we get to the point, realize we ain't started. This is not our fight. Not our fight. This is not our argument. This is not our debate. This was a debate that was imported to us. Our job as a people is to say, all right, I know what they did with all this information, but here's what we're going to do, right? And that means we have to research. That means we have to study. That means that we have to be academically sound. We have to have some integrity. We have to have some fairness, right? And deal with the issues. And then we reassess how we take information. We don't just receive information and act upon it without examining it, right?
Yeah.
Just to give you an example.
Yeah.
We have to go between Wahhabi and Salafi, right? This is in our community. The only reason we're going through that is because we act like we made it up. We didn't make Wahhabi, we didn't make Salafi.
Yeah.
That came from somebody else. So if we're going to take it, we're going to examine those things. Okay, where did Wahhabi come from? Where did Salafi come from? Where did Sufi come from? It didn't come from us. Now, once we figure all that out, now how are we going to engage with it, right? So you'll notice with me, when I say Wahhabi, I mean Salafi. And when I say Salafi, I mean Wahhabi, right? And I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul-Wahhab, right? That's what in the Arab world, that's what in Mecca, in Medina, when he set out on his da'wah, whether you agree with it or not, when he set out in his da'wah, historically, the other Muslims known as them as Firqatul Wahhabiyya. If you study that in in the Hijaz, in Sham, in Africa, in Egypt, if you study the books at the beginning of the 13th century, and the scholars around the world, that's what it was. So that's not,
You mean that's what they called them?
that's what they called them.
Hmm.
That's just research. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. You just came from Senegal, and I think this is research. Am I right, Senegal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. While you were in Senegal, if you would have researched, let me know the scholars and the writings of the beginning of the 13th century and the end of the 12th century, which is the time of Muhammad ibn Abdul-Wahhab, for instance. He died in the year 1206, right?
Yeah.
What were the scholars in 1206? What did they call his movement in Senegal?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do that research. Don't get one scholar. Don't get, because this is Africa. We got plenty of scholars. Go to Senegal. Go to Mali. Go to Ghana. Go to Nigeria. Go all around. Go to Mauritania. Go
Right.
to Algeria, Morocco, and examine the time. All right. Move to Sham areas, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan. Move to Egypt. Move to Hijaz. Move to Iraq. When you see all that, what did the people say? You won't find people talking about Salafi at all. They would identify that as Wahhabi in the books, in their speeches. Salafi came later when that name became synonymous with something that wasn't accepted. So
Right.
now Salafi. So that's
I see.
fine if you want to
Right.
believe that. But I'm saying we're just talking historical facts, right?
Right.
And if we examine that, then now, how are we going to process that's another story. But I'm just talking about the fact of it, right?
Right.
And that's a discussion. That's not a debate or an argument. That's a research project, right?
Right.
And I say, challenge ourselves. We are an intelligent people, right? When we didn't like Western education, that was formulating those HBCUs, right?
Right.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that involved research and challenging ideas. Well, why, when something's giving us something that's going to impact our lives, our community, our elders, our children, our youth, our women folk, our standing in the society, why shouldn't we examine it critically? Why not?
So I guess, and this brings me back to something which is important, because you just touched upon a certain history, right? That's one thing, the history of what happened over there at that time. But here I am, I'm a brother, and I want to study the religion. I want to get close to my Lord. I accepted Islam. I read a Yusuf Ali translation of Quran, whatever, and I go study in Medina. So, and in my mind, I'm following Quran and Sunnah. And like I people ask me this, like in the comments, etc., like what's wrong with just following Quran and Sunnah, etc., and the opinions of the companions, etc., etc. What 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 do you have to say about that? Now hold on, let me just take a little. Now I remind you all in the comments when we do go live, there's always going to be as a matter of fact, I went to a Native American thing one time, and they do this circle around the fire. They march around the fire, and they have one that goes in the opposite direction always. Well, in this least tribe at least, and they say he's the opposer, meaning that's their devil character in whatever mythology that they have. So there's always going to be somebody in the comments saying, well, like this guy just said. So don't even let him just watch. He getting it whether he realizes it's going into him. You know what I mean? So you all don't have to give him that much attention. I think it's like he probably ain't even a Christian. He probably an atheist. He just in the comments wanting some. He need to. I don't know. If it was me on a Thursday night at this time, I wouldn't be on nobody's thing. I'll be with my girl. But go ahead. You go ahead now. So let him do his thing.
He did his job. He distracted us. Right?
Yeah. So what do you say? What's your response to that when it comes to like, hey,
Quran
and Sunnah? You know what I mean? That history may be true, but in the final analysis, Quran and Sunnah, I'm understanding the companions.
I would say this: if you study Quran and Sunnah, you would realize that it's not that simple, right? I mean, in theory, it sounds great. It's a great slogan, but in reality, even studying the Quran and the Sunnah is in need of prerequisite knowledge. So if you're going to study the Quran, the assumption already is that you're a master of the Arabic language. That's just the automatic assumption, because the Quran is in Arabic, and it's not in any kind of Arabic. It's in a real high level of Arabic. It's already assuming that you know the language of the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because as we know, language change and meanings change over time in any language, right? If someone, like I had a class the other day, and I was talking about, you know, how we say a song or something is fire. Someone who don't know our culture may miss, what are they talking about, right? I remember one of my teachers, he's from Syria, he came to visit us, and we were talking about the fruit of Islam. And he had no idea what we was talking about. He was really thought we were talking about bananas and apples. Right? Right? And so that's Arabic too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds great, but if we actually study the Quran and we study the related sciences to Quran, you'll understand that that's not that easy, right? And what it sets up for is sometimes you'll come up with meanings that are way away from the intended meaning, not because of intelligence, just not having a mastery of the language itself, let alone other parts.
So is that what you mean then? That's what I'm trying to walk this
down. And I go for the Sunnah too, the same thing for the Sunnah with more details. Way more details than the Quran. So I'm talking about for the Sunnah, the same thing in Arabic, but also much more details. Like, because when you talk about the Sunnah, now you're going to talk about more of the work of men. Whereas the Quran, you say this is revelation from Allah, all of it. With the Sunnah, that's not the case. So now you're going to talk about examining men, knowing narrators, knowing the strength of narrators. You're talking about a lot. Does the average person have all that knowledge to say, I follow Quran and Sunnah? It's not even expected. It's equivalent of a third grader saying, let me go and research for my PhD. What's the chance that's going to happen?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Without some training, without, understanding the thing you're dealing with, it's a lot.
So are you saying then, going back to your earlier statement, that this particular approach is connected to what, and I forget the exact phrasing that you used, but it's like we were given like a watered down or very limited view of the religion?
We were given pamphlets and not volumes. Maybe that's the better way to put it.
And as a consequence,
we were given pamphlets and not volumes.
And as a consequence, let me use your third grader analogy. No disrespect to anyone. Oh no, we froze up. Okay. Because if I'm a third grader and I said, I'm going to do this job, I'm going to do my PhD, but you just give me third grader pamphlets, I may think I'm a PhD, but I'm still a third grader. In other words, my real maturity, my growth has been stunted. Is going back to, I'm connecting everything you said to your earlier statement. You're saying that it was purposeful that our growth was stunted in Islamic knowledge.
I have no doubt about that. That's not a conspiracy. That's reality.
Right.
And all you have to do is be exposed. And I think that's one of our greatest challenges, to give our people access. Once you get access, right?
All right, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Why? Because why would someone want to do that?
Because Allah created some humans that are pious and some humans that are evil. Hey. And unfortunately, unless Mr. Charlie or Chuck embrace Islam, he's going to do a lot of evil. Look at the world we live in.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. Like, I don't think we got Islam. One of the most important elements we have as human beings in Islam to learn is called al-aql, intellect. You got to use it. You got to observe what has the enemies of Islam, especially from a certain ethnicity, done in the world without Islam. They cause havoc. Well, those same people, if they're behind how you get your Islam and you trying to run away from his plantation, what you think you're going to get?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Go back at Trump's first administration. Trump went to Saudi Arabia and he told them, I need y'all to change those textbooks. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. I can't even.
Yeah, he sent his advisors and he told the Saudi Arabia that you need to change your textbooks because they lead to terrorism. And they made an institution to actually redo books. Okay. Two questions should come to my mind. What did you have to change? Why? Whose books needed to be changed? And what did you change?
Right.
And was that ever a discussion prior to the one we knew about? And the answer is always yes.
Yeah, for sure. Whatever's public, more said in privately.
Right. You know, so let's be real. And we act like we went overseas first. No, Mr. Charlie built the place you going to.
Right.
That may be hard to swallow. Sometimes I went overseas. That same guy you went overseas, he was in Harvard, Yale, Princeton's, Penn State, Penn University, learning Mr. Charlie's way to take it back and dominate you.
Right. So this is
layered.
They
told you don't go to school while they was in school. All right, go look at all your leaders. Go look at their educational background. They studied in the West. Their children studied in the West.
Right.
So they already, just study history. They was in the White House while we was trying to get the White House off our necks. They was in the White House.
Right.
That's just real.
So I guess I'm going back to myself as a brother, Quran and Sunnah. Right? No, I'm not him. I'm trying to put my mind in his shoes, right? How do we convey what you're saying to that mind? Because it could be offensive. It could be hurtful. Look, when I'm going back to the nation, when the transition came, a lot of people, it's like destabilizing. I remember the movie The Matrix, and Morpheus, he frees the guy and he says, we don't free a mind after a certain age. And basically because the mind can't handle it, it's just adapted to the world the way it understands. So they usually deal with young people. So there's just a such thing as hey, the person you thought was your daddy your whole life is really not your daddy. Like that's jarring. So what do you suggest, or what do you think is the proper way, or the best way, I should say, to convey this to our people?
The summit.
You good. You good at saying that.
No, serious. We need an African American summit that is us, for us, discovering our problems, dealing with us. And that needs to be with love. Listen, you mentioned Abu Muslima. He's not going to like this, but since I love that brother, right? He's having that problem because he woke up. He don't drink the Saudi Kool-Aid, not at all. But he's trying to figure out how to get that, even him on his own self, how to process stuff. That's not easy. Especially when that's where you got your education, that's learned, and you start to discover there was more knowledge outside the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. In fact, superior knowledge. He knows that, but if that's all you had, it's like you got a status by that, and I got to give that status up and start over a little bit.
Yeah.
The same way the brothers from the nation, when Imam Muhammad rahimahullah had to make that first transition, that was incredible. That is a blueprint for what you're asking about. How did he do it? Bit tadarruj, in stages, right?
Yeah.
Change don't happen overnight. It's by stages, and you got to be patient with that. But a lot of times we just want it fixed tomorrow, and it don't work. There's no such thing as microwave Islam. It don't
Right.
work like that. This thing gonna be slow cooked for generations.
Like grandma used to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's just reality. It's not gonna happen, right?
So
Let me give you an example. Since we talk about Quran and Sunnah, and when we talk about Quran and Sunnah, let's just deal with Sunnah because we're on the Sunnah. Okay, fine. Do you know that Sunnah is a way we received it? There's chains of narration, right? The first thing when you want to know if a hadith is authentic or not, you're going to talk about a sanad, the chain of narration.
Right.
And in the chain of narration, you're going to have a rijal, men and women, right? People. And you're going to weigh those people, right? According to their accuracy, according to their memorization. Just to weigh that, the scholars in that science say that you have to memorize 100,000 hadith and the chains of narration to do that job.
Right.
Who among us, know 100 hadith with the chains of narration?
Right. Right.
If we be honest.
Yeah. It's non-existent.
Right? So the guy was trying to do something
Almost non-existent.
by the standard that Islamic scholarship set. We got to reach that standard, right? So, and then knowing scholars, right? And then knowing history. That's work. That's not going to be coming overnight, right? That's generations. And it was said by this beloved brother that he made me so happy. He was like, if we can just teach our people like fard ayn. When he said that, it made me so happy. I think you know the brother I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I think I know.
No, like if that's all we did,
yeah,
and or exposed us to the Islamic sciences that we were never exposed to, man, that's a huge feat, right? To do that. Because, they have a saying in Arabic. They said, رجل لا يدري ولا يدري أنه لا يدري. A man, he doesn't know, and he doesn't know he doesn't know. That's called al-jahl murakkab. It's compounded ignorance. It's not that he's bad. He don't know. And for us, all that's related to access.
Right.
So our bookstores, right? Our bookstores that we go to shopping for books. My personal library is bigger than that.
Yeah.
Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
That's the bookstores where we go buy books. My personal library is larger than them. That tells us how much we've been deprived.
So when you say the summit, give me an idea, like what can or give us what can we expect to be what is the summit? What does it consist of? Not to get off this point, but I want to make sure that
the summit is us bringing the best minds that we have, the best people who want to engage, because we may have better qualified people that don't want to engage. Bringing us from every aspect, no matter what it is, as a people, and let's engage each other. And you'll see that when you get to the summit, nothing is left off the table. Like whether it's in the speaker, there's no rules. It's like the family barbecue. Go for it. Now I get in trouble for that. I was listening to the first summit, and Dr. Abdul-Rahmaan Ali from Lamppost. He was talking. Yes. He said, Imam Amin likes to make things difficult and make you uncomfortable. He put you around all these speakers and say, go for it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not performative. This is real Black people Muslim who love Allah and His Messenger, who love their people, and say, how can we come together to fix our issues?
So let me ask you, because someone just put, so I usually don't look at the comments, to be honest, but I looked over. It says, is this what Imam Muhammad was teaching us and wanted us to know? All that time with hadith does not give you time for Quran. So, and it brought to my mind this, several things. One thing that you mentioned to me beforehand, the question about the issue, and you're hitting upon it right now. As you were saying it, this came up. The issue about differences, number one.
Mhm.
Like, as long as they want to engage. And then number two, and this is the kind of two different questions, but both came in my mind. The idea about, like, I think that a lot of us as blacks, we come from the church background. And if you have any question about Christianity, go ask the preacher. But this is not even true in Christian studies. Like, there's a difference between a specialist in Paulian, whatever, then a Old Testament theologian, then someone who's a scholar of Greek. There's not this one. In other words, they're lanes, they're fields of study within the broad context of religion. So can you, let's start with that first. Like, when it comes to scholarship, what does that look like for those who don't know from an Islamic scholarship standpoint, Islamic study standpoint? What is scholarship?
Scholarship is specialization in a given field. There's no such thing as a jack of all trades. A scholar in what? You saying a scholar in the Quran? Then we can have that discussion. A scholar in fiqh? We have that discussion. A scholar in seerah? That's a discussion. A scholar in hadith? That's a discussion. A scholar in Arabic? That's a discussion. Because all of these are specialties that have prerequisites, right? That's when you're studying. Even a scholar in history, right? It has its field, it has its rules, it has its principles, and that's scholarship. Without it, we're just talking. I'll give you an example, that statement. We tend, and I said this earlier, I don't know if we was live or we was talking behind. I said, we get into personalities and not the cause.
Yeah, that was before, yeah.
Right? So for instance, people make a distinction between Quran and Hadith. That concept, the Quran and the Hadith, contradicts the Quran. Why? If everyone goes to Surah number 3, verse 164, easy. Surah 3, verse 164. Allah said, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. If you go to all of the books of specialists in Quranic interpretation, they'll say Kitab is Al-Quran and Al-Hikmah is the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every major tafsir explanation, every major respective global and historic scholarly expert in the Quran will tell you that. We reveal the Quran to you so that you can explain it. So the Prophet ﷺ has the function of explaining the Quran. How did he do that? Through the hadith. The Quran that we got today, did we get it from the sky initially? But how we got it? Through chains of transmission.
Right.
How did we get the hadith? Through chains of transmission. So that's a science. Not every narration of the Quran is correct. That's a science. Not every narration of hadith is correct. That's a science. So, I mean, you know, they say the most difficult thing is to make the simplistic simple. It's not easy, but it does involve some kind of scholarship. By the way, can I ask you a question?
For sure.
What's your field in school in secular education?
Secular, nothing.
Oh, you never went to college, university?
I did. When I went to university, I did philosophy and comparative religion.
Okay.
I did too, yeah.
You did some time in it, right? At least.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
In both of those, in philosophy and comparative religion, are the experts the same in those fields?
Absolutely not. And if they are, they're rare.
Right. And don't each of them require some preliminary knowledge even to enter the field?
For sure. Oh yeah.
If that's secular knowledge, what about revelation from God?
Yeah. Yeah. Like for philosophy, you have to study logic. It's impossible. You're dealing with arguments. You have to study logic. If you are going to deal with modern, they study symbolic logic. You got to take both. And then you got to start off with the pre-Socratics and the Greeks, just because these questions that they had back then are the same questions today to some degree or another. So there's just, and even further, like you can't just say I'm a doctor.
Exactly.
Like if I got cancer and you a pediatrician, you can't help me. So I think you explained that. Okay.
But catch this. This don't have nothing to do with religion though. This is us as a people with education, academic excellence.
You mean that
the mindset that gets us
Gotcha.
there. It don't have nothing to do with religion. We could be talking about anything. We looking for a shortcut.
Right. No, that's for
if
sure.
you want to have excellence, you can't get a shortcut. You got to go through the stages. And not everyone even has the intellectual capacity to do it. That's why we got to select the best among us, right? Not everyone can do it, right? What may be easy for one may be extremely difficult for another.
Right.
As they say, a person may excel in one field, but suffer from radical deficiencies in another. Right? I mean, sometimes we're talking about it. I study with my teacher. My teacher's a Quranic expert. I'm horrible in that, but I'm good in other areas. But like you study with him, that's not my skill. That's his skill, right?
Right.
So everybody got different things, right? I mean, and that's why we need each other, because no one has everything.
Yeah.
There's just certain things that we need the other to do.
And that's the nature of our existence in society. Like, I'm not going to grow the cotton, sew my clothes, everything that I need for survival, food, clothing, and shelter. I'm talking about basic human functioning. No one person does all of that. So back to your issue, or not your issue, the point that you made, how much more so is that the case for religious knowledge?
Right. And listen.
Oh man, someone thank you, my bro.
Give me bread.
Yeah, man.
I never know how to do that. See, you know what you're doing.
Hey, thank you, brother.
But no, here's what I'm saying. A sister, she wrote a thesis. I don't know if she finished it because she was having financial stuff to do it. But look what the title of her thesis was. I don't know the field she was in. Her thesis was examining the causes for examining the causes for a culture of acceptance of underachievement in the Black community. And that was powerful.
Yes, that's
examining the causes of a culture of acceptance of underachievement in the African American community.
Yeah, she needs to finish that.
Right. And when she told me that, I was blown away, because somewhere someone told us we can't do it. And we said, okay.
For sure.
And that's the biggest lie that was ever told to us.
Yeah.
I would say, just like we can excel in sports and entertainment and rule the world, we could do that in Islamic studies and any other studies.
Man, you know,
the access. They give us AAU, they give us basketball courts.
For sure, that's right.
Pee-wee football, Pop Warner, but they don't give us that Islamic excellent classroom.
Yeah, I do an Imam Muhammad. I just go over lectures. I have a class. I go over that with, students. And he was something that we had read in Frederick Douglass's book. Frederick Douglass took notice of the fact that they would just work the slave all week. And then on the weekend, they'll give him instruments and alcohol. And he noticed as a young man, they would take that time to burn off all of their energy from the suffering during the week. Playtime is over, back to work. So the Imam was making the point of how so much pain and suffering were put upon us as a people, slavery, all of that. And we were permitted to express ourselves through spirituals, hymns, enjoyment.
Mhm.
And doing that generation after generation, psychologically, it makes you a people who become accustomed to expressing yourself in that way and very much turned off to excellent, like what we're talking about now, achieving excellence the way that every other people in the history of the world had to achieve it. So we'll talk about the pyramids. The black man built the pyramid. I heard a brother told me one time the black man dug the Nile River out. You know what I mean? That was like an engineering masterpiece. And I'm sitting there saying, okay, I'm sure you've been through this as a young man. You said, okay, that was then, though. What about now? When it comes to now, these same guys is chasing skirts after they start talking about how we did all of these excellent things, because we have that inferior, I would say, not only mindset, but those inferior habits and behaviors have been clocked into us. So, and if I'm hearing you correctly, it's like, look, the approach to this religion in this manner that we've been talking about from the start of the program, the proper approach to this religion puts us in a new context or new state of habits, to whereas now the excellence is being brought out of us, not through singing and dance and all of that, but through the intellect and our ability to perform like human beings who can build civilization.
Absolutely. And think about it like this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Inna Allah kataba ala kulli shay'in ihsana." Allah ordained in everything we do it with excellence.
Right.
Okay, that's a prophetic imperative,
Right.
right? So whatever we doing, business, culture, family, study, religious, secular, spiritual, whatever it is, our religion dictates that we do it with excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this saying I tell them in my community all the time. I said, listen, don't lower the bar. Just say you need to do your push-ups more and your pull-ups, but we're not bringing the bar down.
Right.
The bar is going to remain there, and we're going to work to get there, but we're not going to bring the bar down. And I think that bar, and my wife, she's a school teacher, and let me not get myself in trouble. One of my wives is a school teacher, right?
Yeah, you're
So,
gonna get trouble. You left it like that.
yeah, you got to clean that up real quick. And you know what she tells her students? Because she has a bunch of like immigrant students, Mexicans and Bangladesh before where she teaches at.
Yeah.
She said, you're in a global world. No one's going to have sympathy for you. You're in a global world. You're not competing against your neighbor. You're competing against the world. Well, we're in a global Islamic world. We have to compete.
Right.
Not to be better, but to be what Allah ordered us to be in excellence. Right? That we have to. And you're never going to get respect if you don't compete. You're always going to be a servant class. That's why all of our people are students of knowledge. Guy got a PhD, guy got a master's, he's still a student of knowledge. But when they finish, they a sheikh.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And remember, all you got to do is travel. Because when you travel, you see it, right? These guys was classmates. He's a judge in the court, and you in the neighborhood refuting people.
Right. 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 Right.
Something's wrong with that picture.
So let me ask you this, because I want to get to the diversity piece. What's your thoughts on, like I've mentioned the Imam a couple of times. People come from different, we have, Imam Jamil al-Amin's community, may Allah forgive both of them their sins and grant in paradise. We have a lot of different pathways. And as a consequence, we have a different approach to things. We have a different viewpoint. We have a different sensitivity, not to the degree that it takes us out of our collective problems or our collective whatever as African Americans. However, you may come to the table thinking something is important that I don't think is as important. What I think I'm coming to the table with is more important. So circling back to the conference, etc., how do you understand or how do you suggest this topic of diversity is dealt with. I have a follow-up, but I want to
Diversity in terms of what? You mean among us
different group
or
among
diversity
us.
with other people?
Among us. So
You mean as Muslims?
As Muslims, particularly
Right,
African
with
American
our
Muslims at the summit.
understandings.
Yeah.
First of all, like I said, realize that we're here as a family. And I think that's the key. We are people. I'm not here as your enemy. Right? I have a brother who is not religion. He don't have religion like a organized religion. He's just in the spirituality. I believe in God, but the religious stuff I don't. We disagree all the time, but we have a common goal as brothers, as family, and we work together in that. And sometimes you got the best opinion, and sometimes I do. You know what I mean? It's not restricted to how one of us think. And I think when we realize that, listen, I need you. And you have talents that I don't have. You have bright ideas that I don't have. And we will not be successful until we share those ideas sincerely, loving one another for the sake of Allah. And I think that's where it starts. I mean, it's essential that I gotta love you and you gotta love me. If we don't have love for ourselves, we've lost the battle before we even start.
Right.
And diversity is how Allah created us. He
Right.
didn't give us all the same mind. He didn't give us all the same heart. He gave you some things he didn't give me. He gave the others some things, and we got to bring those things collectively together. And that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to see eye to eye. And that doesn't mean the end of the world. That means the beginning of our using our intellects.
I'm with you. You know, I hear a lot of people like in the comments. I kind of
give me 1 second. I need my charger. 1 second.
Yeah, Bismillah. What are y'all saying in these comments? Let me see. Oh, there's a lot of comments here. I ain't reading all of that. It's a lot though, man. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad you all enjoying the conversation. And again, let me look while you stepped away. I put it in the chat. And let me go to it again. faithtopower.eventbrite.com. Register for the 2026 African American Islamic Summit. I'm asking all of the people, you all who know me, I'll be in the area that I'll be in the area. So we're going to drive up Friday. We'll be there Friday. We want for our community to come out and support those of you all, you know, who can make it. Please do, because you're in Atlantic City. I've never been to Atlantic City before, so this will be my first time.
It's your home.
Yeah, so
I can almost assure you, nobody comes to Atlantic City to Masjid Muhammad and don't have a ball.
Y'all got bean pie?
Bean pie is gonna be there. Food.
Oh well, yeah.
Imam Fahim gonna be there. You know the boom bat?
No.
That's the one giving up money. You know you cook and he give you money and give us nothing.
Oh, is that right? I sound like
that's Imam Fahim.
Remember, Shah, don't let Otis talking on your platform. He was in front of you. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't read that before I put it out. Somebody starting some. Oh no, that's him there.
That's Imam Fahim.
Okay, no, okay. I thought the other money was the other bro.
That's another person. That's my nickname on the Black Imams Round Table.
Okay.
You know, Otis, the senior of the Temptations.
Oh no, so that's before my. I'm that's a little before my time, man. Well, alhamdulillah. But you all make sure you go. You know, check it out now. What's the? There's a registration fee, right?
Yes.
What's the registration fee?
It's $150 for the 3 days and $75 for individual days if people can't make it. And then there's a lower price for children.
Okay, so you all, Bismillah, please, you know, make sure we support the work that's being done. Like I said, I'll be there. Matter of fact, let's look. We have the lineup here. Our brother Sheikh Muhammad Mendes will be there. Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya is going to be there. You know, we have some work we're doing in Detroit. And every time we go to Detroit, his name is brought up among the folks there. I think he's really been able to make a positive impact on the city. Sheikh Nasser Abdul Salam, who I have some familiar with. I took a class or two with him. Sheikh Yahya El Baltamori. I'm Sister Sabria Mills. I think she's very well known, especially among the sisters. brothers too, but I'm saying I think she has like a sister army.
Yes.
Them sisters, they know how to get stuff done. But we'll talk about that on another live. Imam Fahim Lee, Imam Naeem Abdullah. Now, who I know you all added some more.
Some we have Sister Rukaya, the wife of Sheikh
Right.
Mendez.
Yes, yes.
You also have Imam Rasul Saluki, Imam Mujahid Abdul Salam. I'm stuck. Some of the people you mentioned earlier will be there,
Yeah.
but I'm
Okay.
not allowed to mention everybody because some people's like, let me just show up, Imam. Don't
Okay,
get
that's
me
good.
in trouble before I get there. But
Okay, okay.
really,
Yeah.
and a countless list of others that it's going to be a room full of who's who, you know,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
and all of us engage, you know. This will be the first year in several years that we miss Imam Talib Abdul Rashid,
Yeah.
who was always a participant,
Yeah.
rahimahullah ta'ala, Imam Siraj. Everyone has been at one summit or another or more than one. And
Yeah.
this year, you know, usually people that just couldn't make it, you know, but you know, and that don't mean they're not going to show up. They just didn't
Yeah.
want to promise, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
that's just some of the people.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I think, man, I'll just tell you right now, in my mind, I really think that we should be, doesn't have to be right away, but I really would like to see us work towards a federation of sorts, in terms of working together. One of the arguments that I have put forth on this channel is that, look, you know, if you just Senegal, now, I'm not Tajani, I'm just, my children were doing, they're doing Quran, and you know, I was, like I tell everybody, I'm a seller. I was in Sally, I was selling out when I was there. I was in with the white folks in the villa, but my children are there. They're back in Medina. We're not Tajani. But I spoke with brother Ishaq Majid, who he's from Atlanta, but he's in the DMV area right now. He's you know, Sheikh Mahi is his sheikh. He's Tajani. His daughters, well, I think he had about 3 or 4 daughters, memorized Quran over there. Atlanta, you know what I mean, is still home. I'm just here in this area because of, you know, my family is gone and I had an apartment here already. But inshallah, we'll be back when they come back. You know, in Atlanta, we have the Tijani, we have Atlanta Masjid, you know, Imam Jamil El Amin's community, et cetera, et cetera. And what I've been, and I travel around the country, like I'm sure you travel, and what I've been really wanting to see is a national brotherhood. I use the word federation, meaning that, look, we're in our respective places doing our respective work, but there is an overarching, like, no matter, like, all of us, like those different brothers that I just mentioned, we're
Right.
all the same when it comes back to family history. You know, whatever we have to deal with, like 3 out of 4 black women been molested, you know, sexually assaulted. Like, that's just our story. Most of us grew up without a father or were raised by a stepfather. Most of us went to the funeral and granddaddy had another family show. Like, this is the black man's whatever. Most of us have a family member who's done some time. They've been behind that wall. So we're a people, and I'm naming the negatives because that just strikes more positively too. We're a people. We have the same history, etc. And I think that all of us have come into Al-Islam, and we're coming into Islam because we essentially want the same thing. So, like you said, it's a family, and to keep that spirit is absolutely important. And I really would like to see us form that. Now, the details of that I would never publicize. I'm saying that out here to just put that in the airways, but when we decide to work, we never want to publicize it because we've learned from history. You know, anytime a black man get together to do something big, you already know. But that's where we should, inshallah. That's what where I want from us to be. And I'm thinking, I'm seeing it as different experiences, different levels of knowledge. We have to learn how to cross pollinate. Like, let's say you teach Qira'at. You said that's
Right.
not your thing, but why
Yeah.
can't
So
I?
help me out.
So, right. So let's say, but see, like my wife, that's her thing.
Right.
She's Kubra wa Sugra. That's her thing. She loves it.
Allahu Akbar.
So why not send children to her and then what's your thingy, man?
Um,
One of them.
I'm my field is Aqidah, Usuluddin, and Hadith.
So
These are my
then,
areas. These are the areas I'm authorized to teach in.
Right. So some of those students may want to learn that after they now some may just want to recite and they fall in love with that. Some want to recite and go on to become a doctor. Some want to advance in. So the I think until we come into that mind and spirit to see how we could cultivate this wide field in America together, I don't think we would have Allah's blessing with us to the degree that we could have otherwise, if that makes sense. So how much more time you got? I know we've been on for a minute.
I got no more than 10 minutes tops.
All right. So
it's almost Maghrib here.
For sure. So let's kind of conclude. Let's have some concluding thoughts.
Can we answer this question?
Okay,
I think
yeah.
it's a good question here. Because I know it's always on people's minds.
As African Americans?
Yeah. So as African American Muslims, this one, same thing. Yeah, it's same person,
Okay.
same question.
As African Americans, how do we unite if we can't get past the Aqidah issues, especially if we all have something to offer? That's a very good question.
So I would say this: come together and just have discussions, not debates. Let's research together, right? Even if I disagree with you, I want to hear you out. I want to examine your evidences, your resources, your routes, and I want you to do the same for me. And then let us have an open examination of that without criticism, because we're at the stage of learning. I think if we did that, we would respect each other more. We would honor each other's academic integrity, right? And fairness. I think we should start there with that. I don't think Aqidah is our issue. I think ego is our issue. I don't want to be wrong, so I'm going to stick I'm going to stick my forks in the ground and no, come on, man. We're just trying to learn. Let's examine what you're saying. You believe this is the pure Aqidah of the Salaf? We disagree. This is why we disagree. Here's our sources. Here's our books. And you'll find that we're reading the same thing. And sometimes those interpretations are probable. These things are not always, 100% certain. Some of them can bear more possibilities. And only intelligent people will realize that, right? And even if sometimes I don't see it as you, is the way I see it so far off? Was I the one that made it up? Were there other great scholars who saw it that way? I think we need to do that and kick everybody else out the room. I really believe that. African Americans need to be in the room by themselves, our learned people from every camp, and we just sit down as a family and hash it out. No one else allowed. I think if we did that, we'd get much further.
So ego is the issue, is the issue.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Ego, and I got a reputation, and I want nobody to know I ain't like I think I am. Because I may lose followers and money.
Right.
If it's just sincerity, like, I'll give you an example. Me and Abu Muslima, we don't see eye to eye. We'll sit in the library for hours and researching and talking, calling each other names, and go back and still go eat, right?
Right.
That's brotherhood. That's friendship. That's a concern for our people. That's respect. And we may not always see eye to eye today. Sometimes he'll say something, or I say something, like, I know that's weak. Then he'll go back and examine, oh, you right. And I'll go back and say, oh, you right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because research, some people got different minds. If I research hadith, it's not going to be the same as someone who ain't in the field of hadith. It's going to be a whole different field, right? What I'm going to pick up on, they're going to miss. If you in Quran and Qira'at, you're going to catch little mistakes that the average person is going to miss, right? And that's in any field. If you're in philosophy, same thing. We got to bring all that together with love. I'm not your enemy. Even if I disagree with you, I'm not your enemy. I just don't see it the way you see it.
Yeah.
We can't afford to be enemies. I think that's the start. But we don't even want to have the discussion. We don't even want to sit down and have a civil discussion.
Right.
Not a debate. We're researching, examining. I'll give you an example, and I don't want to go long. A young brother, he just graduated from the University of Medina. I knew this guy since he was a kid.
Yeah.
When he went to Medina, he was in my house. I said, listen, you need to go study so you can learn Arabic and you'll feel better, right? We have a better discussion, right?
Yeah.
He come back. He said that I go to Yemen and worship and prostrate to my teacher.
What?
I said, I don't prostrate to people.
Oh, he said
man.
that about you.
Yeah. And about, I said, you know better than that. Like, and then because he's on the Sunnah, right?
Yeah.
I said, so since you said that, and forget about else, that's a lie. So you're disqualified from conveying the Sunnah, because the Sunnah you can't convey it and be a liar.
Right.
I said, you know better than that. But just to say your party line, you would say something like that, which is wrong. Well, if we say ego's our problem, that means I ain't worshiping no man, right?
Right. That's right.
You understand what I mean? Like, some stuff that's like to go say, because a person doesn't agree with me, let me say anything about him, right? No, that's not fair. And I think once we get to a term called al-insaf, fairness, just be fair. Even if you disagree, be fair. Don't say something he didn't say. Don't twist his words. Say it as he said it. Be
that's
fair. Right? But we threw that right out the window. Which, to be upon the Sunnah and to throw that out the window is a problem in and of itself.
Yeah.
To say I'm upon the Sunnah and I'm not fair.
Yeah.
This is not the Sunnah.
Yeah. That's you, huh? That's you, right? I don't think that's.
No, that's me. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna hold you, ma'am. I know that.
Okay.
But look, let me just close this out. I mean, I don't think we ever had 200 people on a live, so this must have been something that the people wanted, that our brothers and sisters wanted, and we're really happy that you were able to join us. Again, let me the 7th African American Islamic Summit. This is Friday, April 10th through Sunday, April 12th. This will be held at Masjid Muhammad. That's
no. It
no,
held
it's
at
not.
the soldier's home, but it's right down the street from Masjid Muhammad, like 5 minutes away.
All Wars Memorial Building.
Yes.
All Wars. I'm sorry about that. All Wars Memorial Building, 1510 Adriatic Ave, Atlantic City, New Jersey, 08401. For the weekend, it's only $150 to register. If you want a particular day, $75. For children, $50. And don't let anything, if you have the time, don't let anything keep you back. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I got something else going at the same time. Oh, no, go ahead. That wasn't for you. That was for somebody else.
Okay, yeah. So I switched off and switched back. So yeah, please show up, support the work, and this is, inshallah, this is the one of many conversations that we'll be having. Not everything online, but obviously we want to keep the momentum and the work that we're doing with our people, with my community, my sort of comrades in arms. We want to work with persons such as yourself who. Hey, alhamdulillah. Thank you, my brother. We appreciate you. Man, you brought the money out too, man. I got to bring you on once a week, brother.
Hey, listen,
my grocery bill.
All right.
Pay my grocery.
I need you on the other side too, because I think we could do a lot together, all of us. And I think that's the biggest thing about the summit. All of us bringing our talents together and seeing how we can support one another.
For sure.
For sure. And not realizing your elevation is not putting me down. Your elevation actually helps me come up with you.
Yeah.
If we all win, that's the only way we're going to win.
Right.
But if there's an I win or you win and others lose, that's not a recipe of success.
That's right. All right, my brother. So
Right.
thank you all for thank you for having me, man. May Allah reward you. We pray that we have a successful summit. And assalamu alaikum to you all. I'm going to close out until next time. I do have some more. We're going to go live a couple times next week. We haven't done this in a while for you all in the audience, but we have a couple more lives we're doing next week. We'll see you all then. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.